Hi, I'm Sorry Man Kennedy, chief editor and host of CMN Pod.
And I am your co-host.
We wanted to apologize for the unprofessional behavior that we display during the following episode of the CMN Pod.
Sometimes we forget that these conversations are intended for a listening audience.
The opinions of the CMN Pod are oftentimes controversial, but many times they seem to degenerate for the sake of humor. We would just like to remind everyone listening that our actual opinions on the many, many issues of politics, the occult community, and the Carter family are much more nuanced than they may appear. And we would like to sincerely apologize to the Carter family for the many things we say about the
about resting and
you know what? Mr. Carter. Play the fucking episode.
ran it.
In the first aeon, I was the Great Spirit. In the second aeon, men knew me as the Horned God, Pangenitor, Panphage. In the third aeon, I was the Dark One, the Devil. In the fourth aeon, men knew me not, for I am the Hidden One. In the fifth aeon, I appeared before you as Baphomet, the God before all gods who shall endure to the end of the earth. In this new aeon, I appear to you as CMN.
Imagine that there is a brilliant white light just above.
Is commentary on the magic art.
In the years of the primal force and the dawn of terrestrial birth.
Oh, that was very educational.
Now magic will take place. Don't be fooled by what I just said.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Sumerium Kennedy, and this is Chaos Magic News, the Spaceballs of podcast. Joining me this week is my out-of-this-world co-host, Jockstrap Valet. How you doing,
The truth
Valet?
is out there, dear listeners.
That's such a terrible name. Like, I absolutely love it, but it's one of those things that if you don't get the reference, it's like, I don't get this. And if you do get the reference, you're like, this is a terrible joke.
Very, very, well, you know what? If you don't think that joke is funny, just get over yourself. There, throwing down the gauntlet.
Well, you're not gonna find the rest of this episode very funny either. So that's
we
our
have set the bar here.
That's our barrier for entry. Like, if you can't handle the jockstrap joke, and abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
If you can't handle me at my jockstrap, you don't deserve me at my valet. If you can't handle my jockstrap, it's, that's probably a good call. It's a little unsanitary.
Oh, God.
How
doing
are
right,
you
though?
doing?
Everything good? Oh, I'm fucking terrible. It's been a bad week.
Same, fam.
Yeah, honestly, the
I love
worst part about
though.
this is we told everyone we were going to go to bi-weekly episodes, but in order for this episode to still be relevant, I'm going to have to abandon that immediately and just put out the next episode, which isn't out as of recording this, and then I'm going to have to put this one out like fairly quickly afterwards. Otherwise, everyone's going to forget about all the shit we're talking about. Why did we decide to do a news podcast? Whose stupid ass idea was this?
Oh,
you know what? I don't even give a fuck.
Hi, I'm Johnny Francis, CMN contributor. The following section was removed for legal reasons of slander and general bad taste.
Well, we're definitely going to have a brisk episode this week because we just cut out like 20 minutes of conversation right there.
That's true.
For
Okay.
dear listeners.
Okay.
You have no clue what we're talking about. Don't worry. In like a couple months, you'll know.
Right.
Anyway, so we have like I said at the top there, we have a lot of interesting news to talk about. More so just because they're really big cultural phenomena right now, so we got to talk about
Everything's falling apart.
Yep. But in order to get to that,
the land and the air are both fucked. Now we just need a weird news story about the ocean. So it's land, sea, and air disaster, and we'll be set.
You know what? I kind of have something that might make that work.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Don't worry. No realm will be left unburned. This is the end times. All of our Patreon supporters will be receiving, with their $10 a month membership, the CMN Apocalypse Preparedness Kit. It's got, a pot for you to piss in for when you don't have a pot to piss in.
And then it's got a window for you to throw it out.
Oh, God. All right. But in order to get to the news, as always, you got to get through your intro topic. How are you going to have any of your news if you don't eat your intro topic?
We're definitely going to eat it on this intro topic. I'll tell you that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You're so negative.
So we're going to have a little tidbit and talk about sort of the relationship between psychology and magic. And hopefully we won't meander on it too much. But I think the reason this started is because I made a funny meme.
That's how all of this started, was a funny meme.
That's how most things here start. But I wrote a thing that was basically occultists use the term shadow work like it came from the Atlantean secret chiefs instead of a 20th century psychologist who slept with his patients. And I think that's accurate. Well, it's not I think that's accurate. That is an accurate statement. But the point isn't that shadow work is bad and you shouldn't do it. The point isn't that Carl Jung is bad and you shouldn't do Jungian psychology. But you should recognize that one of them is psychology, and psychology is not necessarily an occult practice.
I think the conflation of occultism and psychology in the last part of, because it's not even like Jung is very big on that. Like so many people are into Jung almost as an afterthought to their occult things, or almost in a way to attach spirituality to something that they feel has a lot more legitimacy to it, which is stupid, really. Like, let's be honest. If your idea is that you think that Carl Jung's thought has some sort of legitimacy in actual accepted psychological circles, or maybe it's even just because it's like, oh, well, it's psychology. They say it's psychology, so it's more respectable than just being like, I'm a spooky woo-woo.
Saying you had an active imagination experience with a divine archetype doesn't really sound that much better than God talk to me.
Yeah. I don't do astral projection. I have.
If you think it does, it's because you have hangups about magic and psychology.
I mean, yeah, that's the long and short of it, isn't it?
I think a lot of it actually comes down to the need to justify what you do when you talk about it to other people. Where if you can obfuscate it or be like, oh, this is just psychodrama or whatever, maybe you don't come across like a weirdo, but you do. Just own being a weirdo or don't talk about it. I recommend both, a combination of both.
That's something that's really common in chaos magic. I think a lot of people very quickly, when they're talking to people outside of the circle of, occult practice or at least occult awareness, very quickly bend backwards into I'm an agnostic and I don't really believe, quote unquote, any of this stuff, but if it works, what's it matter? And again, it's like, it's a justification because you don't want to sound like, I'm
a nut
doing weird spooky stuff in my, yeah, exactly. I don't want to sound like I'm a weird spooky guy living in my fucking, I built an altar in my second bedroom, and I do weird stuff where I talk to spirits and I burn lots of crazy incense and write up weird sigils and stuff. You don't want to sound like you're someone that actually does all of these sorts of things. You want to sound like someone that is above it in a way.
And granted, I understand that there's certain levels of if you do have to talk about this, maybe not saying all the crazy things you think. There's certain levels of like saying enough to get what you mean without overselling it. But I do think there is a real thing, particularly with stuff like Jungian psychology, where people will try to use these things that are perceived as more valid to believe in. And as much as I love Jung, I'll tell you, Jungian psychology is some spooky woo-woo stuff that isn't actually spooky woo-woo, if you know what I mean. In that it's not occult or magic practice, but it's just as against any sort of scientific method as anything in the occult.
Yeah, and for full disclosure, both me and Valet here were pretty actively into Jung for a number of years. We were both very big on that. I mean, we still like Jung. We still
find Jung
we don't
super
hate Jung.
useful.
Yeah, and I don't even dislike Jungians any more than I dislike any other occult group. There's some legitimate, interesting thoughts in that community, and most of them are terrible. That's like everything else, right?
Yeah.
The vast majority of these people are regurgitating opinions from a guy who wrote a book in the 19th century. Congrats. You're in the same boat as the vast majority of occultists nowadays.
Yeah, that's probably a good way.
I think the prevalence of shadow work as a term that has taken on a life almost entirely separated from Jung himself is interesting.
I would disagree. My point is that I think that there's back to the point of what that particular little jab at Gustav was, a lot of occultists walk around with positively Jungian models of not just psychology, but sort of Jungian models for almost the spirit, and then behave as if that is something that goes back through occult tradition rather than this is a very recent phenomenon.
This is a post-Freudian person.
Yeah, these are post-Freudian ideas. And that's the idea, is that so they say they talk about the shadow work, and maybe they don't have the exact idea of Carl Jung's shadow, but in terms of what they're describing, it's literally the same stuff. It's trying to integrate those unpleasant or rejected parts of yourself. And that's Jung. That isn't a cult. I can't think of a single occult tradition that is going to try to get you to integrate your evil. In fact, a lot of the occult traditions, particularly in the West, would be like, you need to obliterate your shadow. You need to do things to purify your intent and purify yourself. If you're trying to bring it inside and do something with it, then that's already bad. You know, you're supposed to banish your demons. You don't sit down and have tea with them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what I meant when I said how it's taken on a life outside of Jung is what you said. The ideas are definitely there, but there are people that have never really read Carl Jung at all, have just heard this term and these ideas, and like you said, they accept them as like an occult practice, that it's some sort of magical thing to deal with your own repressed psyche. And I really think it comes down to the very, I won't even say modern, it's just the contemporary equation of magic as like psychodrama. And that comes from fucking, Crowley and goddamn Anton LaVey, and there's other aspects of it. And I don't think anyone would ever argue that there's not a psychological component to various occult practices, but it's very much become totalized in that there's a sizable amount of people that essentially use magic as something to deal with their own internal landscape, quote unquote, as much as I don't like that term.
Right. Magic is DIY therapy to some people, or even on an artistically romantic notion of it's delving into yourself to find all of the, that's you to pull out the archetypes in your muse and this, that, and the other, and to understand yourself through symbols and experience and this, that. And it honestly makes me think of these arguments where people talk about magic ultimately starting as the wisdom tradition. And I just don't think that's accurate. I think magic as a whole probably started from very much that standpoint of make something happen.
I think the interesting thing there is that most people forget the rather religious character of where most of early magic comes from. It's the sort of idea that they're not really separate, right? There's not a clear separation in much earlier times between what we would now call theology and magic and philosophy.
Yeah, I'd go with you on that.
They're not separate in the same way that we can very clearly. And I think part of that's sort of the Western need to categorize things.
And maybe that's what my problem is here too, is that maybe I'm seeking to categorize one thing as psychology and one thing as magic. But
Well, I think it's different because these people will they'll use terminology and ideas and concepts that are all at their root just talking about psychology. And the only time they deny that is when you tell them like you're just like this is just psychology with spooky woo-woo dressing, and they're like, "No, because
How about on another end, what is the psychology that is behind magic, do you think?
I think that it depends entirely on your model as a chaos magician, at least. It's because there's plenty of people that have very different ideas of psychology that operate in magical contexts. It's not, I would ultimately argue that everyone has some sort of understanding of psychology when they do magic. As to the roots of it, it's I mean, you're in for a really, really tough game there, because the easiest thing to say is that magic arises out of that sort of the same area that religion rises out of, in that kind of Freudbacherian kind of way, right? That man is alienated or man is disconnected from the various powers and control over his world, so he projects this idea outward that he can somehow influence the thing that does have these powers. And that's, it's the Freudian sort of thing of like God is a remnant of the idealized father. When you're a little small child, you think your parents are omnipotent all beings that can do everything, and then at some point you realize that they're just people, and that feeling gets projected outward into God. And that's a super basic breakdown of that idea. It's a lot more complicated than that, but for the simplified comedy podcast version of this, we'll just say it's like that. That's a real simple one. The one that I think really resonates with me is that man exists in a world where fundamentally they're always interacting with things to bring about results and sort of manipulation to bring things about. Whether it's in the sort of technological controlling and framing way that Heidegger talks about it is one thing, but it's hard to argue that we don't just exist in a world where we're here and there's lots of things around us, and the only way we live is by interacting with them in some sort of way.
Hold on.
Listeners,
Listeners, look around. Are you in fact surrounded by things? I know I am, and I'm alarmed. I didn't realize until just now. But there's things everywhere.
But do they look like things?
Do things look like things? Do things also sound like things? Hermetics.
The Hermetic principle. Things look like things and things sound like things as things look as things sound.
The Kabbalion. Oh boy. What about the notion of magical thinking?
Well, that's my other issue, right? Because I think magical thinking gets like
A bad rap?
well, not even a bad rap. I think it's just a term that people don't actually understand half the time.
I'll be the first to say that magic and magical thinking don't actually have very much to do with each other.
Right.
Magical thinking is like, I'm trying to think of like a really bad example or just some kind of example. Like,
Magical thinking is when you think of it as trying to keep yourself from thinking about something bad happening so something bad doesn't happen.
yeah, or even like, man, I was a really naughty child today, and then my dog broke out and got hit by a car, so it's my fault. It's because I wasn't a good kid. And in the weirdest way, magic is almost the opposite, that where it's like, I did something that I know should not have had this effect, but it did. And proper, quote unquote, magic is redoing that thing over and over again till you go from this shouldn't have affected this to this affects this, and I know it because I've done it enough that I understand that this is effective magic. And if it turns out that the ritual to get your dog to break out of the house and get run over is to be a naughty child, sure, but I don't think so. My dog is fine right now.
Another thinker I wanted to briefly touch on, because I think it's an interesting sort of distinguishing idea, is the other post-Freudian psychologist that, well, it's a completely different class of people.
Is it my favorite one?
Well, who's your favorite?
Damn, you put me on the spot. No, is it Wilhelm Reich?
Oh, no, but do you want to talk about
Oh.
Reich real quick?
No,
'Cause you're the local
I-
Reichian.
I love the man too much, and I'm gonna go bust some clouds after this. But you know what? We'll just leave that one alone for now. Who were you gonna talk about?
I was going to talk about my favorite, Lacan.
Oh, duh. God, man, no wonder. You know what? Fuck your zodiac sign. Who's your favorite post-Freudian psychologist?
Oh, you picked Adler? Mm.
Oh,
No, Adler's
wait.
actually really good. But
Talk about Lacan for me.
Lacan, in one of his seminars, has this really weird kind of I mean, okay, it's Lacan. Everything Lacan ever said is weird. Lacan is like that guy that you went to school with that is very much like, you can tell he's really fucking smart, but he's always talking to you about shit that you have no clue what the fuck he's talking about. You're like, yeah, I can tell you're smart. I can't confirm you're smart because I have no clue what the fuck you're saying, but you sure seem smart.
You just described a magician.
Yeah, exactly.
But the answer
Lacan
is they're
a
not
magician.
smart.
Oh, but he has this really interesting diatribe where the thing he's really discussing is causality and the subject. He distinguishes between religion, science, psychoanalysis, and magic. And it's fascinating to see this kind of strange discussion of four things that, honestly, those four things are contemporary occultism in a nutshell. It's religion, it's science, it's psychoanalysis, and magic.
If you had art come up as the thumb, you'd be set.
Oh, right.
You'd have
yeah.
a full hand.
So, just to give you like a weird quote here for you to ponder over. The whole process that led to this current trend in psychoanalysis no doubt goes back, first of all, to the analyst's guilty conscience about the miracles his speech performs. He interprets the symbol, and lo and behold, the symptom, which inscribes the symbol in letters of suffering in the subject's flesh, disappears. This thaumaturgy is unbecoming to us, for after all, we are scientists, and magic is not a justifiable practice. So we disclaim responsibility by accusing the patient of magical thinking. Before long, we'll be preaching the gospel according to Levi Brule to him. Like, I think that's a fascinating idea that Lacan is ultimately kind of I mean, there's a lot more going on there, and actual Lacanians will fucking come at me for this. But Lacan is kind of, in a way, trying to dissuade this idea that what psychoanalysis in particular is about isn't something that couldn't be very, very closely related to magic to begin with.
So I think the interesting part, especially in regards to that particular quote, equating the words of the psychologist or the therapist or whatever the proper psychiatrist, whatever the proper word is. I always get those three mixed up because I'm an idiot.
Analyst, I guess, because it's psychoanalyst, or
Right,
psychoanalysis.
The point being is that it's equating the use and the method of psychoanalysis to magic, a sort of miraculous healing through, like what I said earlier, is that this should not have had this effect. And I understand that actual psychoanalysis, the doctor doesn't just say something and then all of a sudden you're better.
Well, I mean, that's what Lacan is saying. Like, Lacan is almost pointing out that, like, that's how the analysand in the person being analyzed is going to feel about this. And that goes back to this sort of idea of the dynamic of the analyst and the patient, right? That
Well, here's the thing, all right? The earliest magic practitioners that we can really point at as far as historical record or tradition are the medicine man, the healer, the person using the unconventional means to bring about the healing of the wounded and the injured.
Right, yeah.
So, point at who is your modern faith healer, I guess. You're the guy that's going to make you sit on the couch and talk about your mother. And that's why cognitive behavioral therapy is whack.
I was waiting for that moment.
I demand you give me magic words. Or if you're a Reichian like me, twist me into a pretzel while you say weird stuff to me, like you are a combination chiropractor. And I'm trying to think of something to add on there, but I just keep going like wizard. But it's like, that's literally what we're talking about. It's wizardry. Shoot me with your magic crystal gun that's got the organ.
All I'm saying is that you can get your at-home Reichian therapy taken care of with just a really good compression gun and those Israel Regardie tapes.
And if that doesn't work, there's a box. Get in since your ass want to axe Oregon.
Get in, loser. We're accumulating Oregon.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I have made far too many Oregon accumulator memes in my lifetime. William S. Burroughs sat in an Oregon accumulator and smoked weed, and then he'd write.
Yeah.
There's your fun fact for the day.
Your other fun fact is the possibly apocryphal thing of there was a guy who got really big into the Oregon accumulator because he would say it was going to help his wife's mental health. And it was really just because he wanted her to, like, it's great for me because she just sits in a box for a couple hours every day.
Oh, man.
That's so fucked up.
You wouldn't even have to tell me it helps. If somebody just said, hey, do you want to sit in a box for a couple hours? I'd be like, God, that's all I've wanted to do today. I feel like we've kind of we branched out in a couple different directions on magic and psychology.
We attempted to not meander, and boy, did we meander.
We meandered like a Greek labyrinth. Holy shit. I do have one parting thought as far as chaos magic.
Go for it.
Your dear Uncle Spare lovingly referred to Freud and Jung as junk and fraud. So your chaos magic progenitor thought these guys were a bunch of fucking hokum. And who are you gonna listen to? Some coked up psycho, some guy that had 2 wives, or the dude that lived with a bunch of cats?
Choose your path, magician.
Although I make the two wives thing sound like that was a good thing. I'm a firm believer that what Jung did to his wife is fucking abhorrent. And they're like, oh well, she was cool with it. Ain't no fucking way she was cool with it.
No, I mean we have I believe one of his children talked about his wife being really fucking upset about it.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
And then the thing that everyone else forgets about is that he totally abandoned Wolf for von Franz afterwards because he's like, I need to learn about alchemy and I have to have a relationship with a different student to learn about it.
Oh my God. That was the one thing we didn't touch on, is that like that's the other perfect example of people taking magic and then trying to make it psychoanalysis stuff. The whole guys, if anybody doesn't know, alchemy was totally about trying to make gold.
I mean, honestly, if you are one of those people that think that alchemy was not about a transformation of physical metals and that it was secretly a internal psychological thing, please go read In Pursuit of Gold. It is one of the few books that seems to actually take the concept of alchemy seriously as not just like pre-science science and not as like a metaphor.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they didn't want to go, oh man, there were a bunch of spooky wizards trying to make gold back in them days. So it's like they're trying to give it a sense of legitimacy by just going, oh, this is like veiled secret wisdom tradition. And don't get me wrong, I'm even sure that the later into it, where as people realized that shit, we're not going to get gold after all, alchemy definitely took on a nature of metaphor. And I'm sure that the use of alchemy as metaphor can be very useful. But alchemy was about trying to turn lead into gold. That was the point.
All I'm saying is Edward, when Edward Kelly got thrown in prison for not turning shit into gold after he said he was going to, it wasn't because he's like, no, you don't understand, it's a secret. It's like, it's about an internal thing.
It's because you told the Raja you could make fucking gold. Fucking pissed now. And you slept with my wife too. Oh, wait, now that's the
What's
parting
up with
thought.
alchemists and sleeping with other people's wives?
What's with psychologists and sleeping with other people's wives?
What's with people just sleeping with other people's wives?
Wait, where's my wife?
I'm curious if the polyamory crowd is going to be mad at us for being like, Young had 2 wives and that's fucked up. Like, no, guys, you have to, like, no.
No.
Not
Running
okay
off with your
they did not
second
have
wife
this
after your
conversation.
last kid was born. Just disappearing. Like, last son's gone. She dried up. Better go on vacation. They didn't have a good heart to heart about it. He just did that shit, and then she just had to be okay with it because she wasn't gonna destroy her life or wreck the poor children's lives either.
All right, okay, let's get on to the fucking news because we went way too hard on this.
Oh man, we have already meandered so
it's gonna be
much.
It's gonna be a brisk episode. This is gonna be short and easy, and then fucking 5 minutes later. And you know what else? Okay. All right. Well, shall we?
Yeah. You want me to do the
do the bit.
Jingle? What's in the news?
What is in the news? Oh, you're still going. Holy shit.
I'm done.
What's in the news, indeed. Oh, and you guys already know what's in the fucking news because that's why we're talking about it.
They came from above.
Right. It's been Invasion of the Body Snatchers all fucking for the last week and a half. It started with the goddamn balloon. And didn't we talk about the balloon already?
We've already talked about the Chinese balloon. But
yeah, but now it's like
now more of them have
everywhere.
shown up. There's random shit going over Alaska. You know, airspace is being secured and stuff getting shot down. I think one of them was a ballooners club, saw the commotion and decided now would be a perfect time to send up one of their monitoring balloons. And it was just for a thing, but Biden had them shoot it down. And I have a feeling that was definitely intentional. They wanted to get shot down probably because they thought it'd be funny. Fair play.
Have you heard about the Mosul orb?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it happened in 2016, but people are like now bringing up like, hey, we saw metallic orbs before over Iraq, and you guys didn't say shit about it. Do you want to like talk about it now?
Well,
and they're like, nah.
As things are going on, we're basically showing more and more UFO sightings that don't have normal explanations and were just reported and then shoved in a file somewhere. I personally think, this is just me, I think that stuff like this is used to get people distracted by crazy out there shit. You know what I mean? For any of you who don't know, look into the guy that really started blowing the whistle on Area 51. Look into hell, just like literally anybody. There's so many instances of like the CIA basically giving people whole rabbit holes of alien invader UFO encounter type stuff where it's like it's people from another world, you have to warn the press, like telling them all kinds of crap like that to basically get them to go off sounding like crazy people rather than anybody get wind of experimental aircraft testing, experimental weaponry, anything that could actually, I won't say be in the realm of possibility, but things that are closer to the realm of possibility than little green men in a fucking spaceship. There's active disinformation going on to keep people preoccupied with crazy shit. You'll notice that, like, if you really look, this probably isn't an uptick in UFO activity. This is an uptick in reporting and shooting shit down. And they're doing it for a reason. Whether it's just to overcompensate for the particular Chinese balloon thing, or if it's to distract you from other shit, who knows?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how quickly the narrative changes. Lots of people were super duper ready to say that, like, oh my God, the aliens are here a couple years ago, when they were like, yeah, here's like confirmed UFO footage for the first time. And we saw that weird little thing that could like make turns in air that shouldn't be aerodynamically possible with the technology we have.
Yeah.
And now that it's the government like shooting down UFOs and being tight-lipped about it, everyone's like, no, this isn't real. This is just, this is bullshit to distract you. They're going to try to pull a Watchmen on you and unite the world under one government by saying that the aliens are attacking.
Project Bluebeam is another one that's getting thrown around, where it's like faking, you're going to fake the rapture or some shit. But it's literally the same side. It's the idea of like, you're going to do some sort of paranormal false flag so that you can pull the rug out from under everyone.
I think it talks more to people's willingness to distrust the quote unquote mainstream narrative in a way that's not really threatening to it in any real way.
Well, one of the most disempowering things you can do is view the world as a vast conspiracy beyond your control. It gives you all the answers that you need, but also it removes any chance you have of fighting back against it.
Oh yeah, it's like the anti-gun narrative of like, oh, well, you don't need a rifle to defend yourself from the government because the government has tanks and nukes and stuff, so if they wanted to kill you, they wouldn't. It's like, yeah, but that completely destroys any sort of argument that like maybe it's possible that if a bunch of people tried to take over an area of the United States or something like that, the US government wouldn't be willing to just like nuke them into annihilation. Maybe it'll look really bad if the US government just decided to like start mowing down citizens left and right.
Well, I mean, when armed militias take over government buildings, they usually get high fives from the police, and they definitely don't get nuked.
I mean, and it breaks down like every other sort of like,
now when you want to hoard a bunch of guns and not when you want to hoard a bunch of guns, mind your own business, but you got weird religious beliefs, that's when the government will come and kick your shit in.
Oh yeah, right. That's when it's a problem.
Yeah. Especially during election years. but anyway, the whole point is I see this stuff and I already go, bull, who fucking cares? What are you actually distracting me from?
Well, and I think that's part of what I wanted to talk about, because I had somebody like post this huge diatribe about all these governments doing things. Like I think some Russian government building had like anti-aircraft weaponry put on top of it around the same time, and they're like, because it's the UFOs, Or, and when I said I said what I think this is, like, yeah, this is rising Cold War tensions all over again. Like we said last episode or 2 episodes ago. I don't remember what's, the halftime show for the Cold War is over. We're getting ready to go back to the big three duking it out.
Yeah. Can I just say that you said it was a government building? Imagine if it was just like a Russian DMV, basically, and they're like, we must be ready.
I'm tired of them sending drones in when they need their license. I'm not talking to an RC helicopter again. I suppose, do we want to talk about the magical explanation for why there's fucking UFOs?
Well,
is it the Jungian collective unconscious UFO thing again?
Oh, it's
I knew that would make you groan.
It's orgone collecting in the air.
That's what it is. It's fucking that's what the anti-aircraft weapons they were putting up there. It's something the cloud bursters.
Yeah. No, it's anti-cloud burster technology. But no. What it actually is somehow a castration metaphor. I think the Cold War needs to return to Freud. Is what but no, the magical explanation for this is really the same thing that it always has been for UFOs, is that there is a strange phenomena going on that has arguably been going on well before we had anything close to the technology to be doing these sorts of things. So maybe it's interdimensional demons, or it's the Fae, or it's geomagnetics in the earth causing responses from the human nervous system. Maybe it is, as Aleister Crowley said, they used to be called angels and demons. Soon they'll be called something else. And then on the other hand, there is the power of myth. There is the power of suggestion. Remember that our understanding and archetype, for lack of a better word, of the Men in Black didn't exist until one particular story started getting thrown around during the beginnings of the UFO panic in America. Now, and then the other thing is that there's active misinformation. There's people who benefit from you going, oh, watch the skies. So, because if they have you looking for little green men, you won't be so inclined to believe that it's their experimental, hologram technology being shot into the ionosphere or whatever the fuck.
If you're busy looking at the sky, you're not looking at someone picking your pocket.
That's true. Prometheus Rising actually has a good example of this, where it presents the idea of somebody claims to have seen a UFO. Reporters show up, start reporting on it, soon to be followed by various government agencies who have different agendas, because a lot of them don't actually talk to each other and a lot of them don't want to talk to each other. So some people are actively encouraging the idea. Other people are trying to actively quash it and just say, shut the hell up and we won't hear about it. Then the UFO cultists show up and they've got their own ideas. And then the, religious fundamentalists show up saying that it's demons. Then I show up and I'm like, hey, I'm selling UFO t-shirts. And it's just an understanding of how hard it is to get to the actual facts of anything that happened. Because before people even know what the hell it is, 14 different groups will coalesce to tell you what it is so that you'll stop asking questions.
The thing I want to stress more than anything to these people is that this probably isn't actual UFOs. And if it was, you're already fucking dead anyway. Because if there's a civilization of any kind that's advanced enough to send fucking ships from, it would have to be like outside of the fucking solar system.
Well,
then
for
you're
for
fucked.
The record, they're totally UFOs. Anything.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
if I can't tell you what it is,
aliens.
it's a UFO. But is it an extraterrestrial presence? Unlikely. Because
everything's a UFO if you're really bad at identifying shit.
If you can shoot it down, it's not an extraterrestrial. That's all. That's what I'll say. If you got,
I won't even go that far. I just think
that
more than likely.
If you can get faster than light travel, then I should not be able to hit you down with my pea shooter attached to a jet engine.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, with that said, let's talk about the huge tragedy that's happening in the earth as opposed to the sky. There have been multiple train derailments and other crashes that have led to lots of fucking chemicals getting released into the public, and people are getting fucked up by it.
Yeah, the big one is in Palestine, Ohio, which when I heard that, I thought was a fucking joke. A train derailed with hazardous materials on it. Basically, they're calling this Chernobyl light.
Oof.
Notably, they were actively lying to people, saying, "Nah, it's fine, don't worry about it." But the various chemicals that were here, and I know I looked it up, and I can't remember the name, but basically, the stuff's already getting into the water. It's there is a story going on that it's formed a giant death cloud that is causing hydrochloric acid rain and all that stuff. And I don't know if that's
well, I
not
have seen
accurate.
the death cloud.
Yeah. No. The death cloud is like the horrible, just like, plume. The tall man with the wide hat is definitely there. But is it causing like, death rain? I don't think so. I honestly don't think that's how science works, but I could be wrong about that. At the same time, the government has, the Biden administration has denied aid to the place. People were told everything was fine, and then they turned around and said, "Nah, you gotta get the fuck out of here. This is bad." And I have a funny feeling that perhaps like Chernobyl, these are people that will be told, "Hey, you need to evacuate. It's only temporary." And then this might, the land, hell, I mean, we've already seen what happens when the water supply for our town gets completely fucked. Look at Flint. Nothing was done about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we still have fucking lead in the water.
In the
and
water.
no one cares. No one
They've
fucking
just accepted
cares.
it, and I'm sure that will be what happens to Palestine and East Palestine, Ohio.
Well, okay, Governor Mike DeWine, I don't know how you say it, said a request for medical experts from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has been granted, and officials should be arriving early next week to help prop up a clinic for patients. We know the science indicates that this water is safe, the air is safe, but we also know it's very understandable that residents of East Palestine are concerned. And this is attached to an article about people having headaches and rashes and other symptoms that
now
that's
the other dangerous end of it too, though. It's like the hysteria that I'm sure will come from this. Because if I had anything reminiscent to this going on in my backyard, I know for a fact people would be losing their fucking shit, even if it was safe.
Well, yeah, that's the problem.
People would be losing it. Now the other thing is, I don't believe you. You say it's safe, and it's like you were telling people that they didn't need to evacuate, and then you turned around and told them to evacuate. It's like,
well, yeah, and at the beginning of COVID, you said it was all contained and we're good.
Yeah,
it's like none of this shit. You guys just lie about shit. That's how it works. Whenever there's something that could be, you guys told us that we didn't need masks because you wanted to prevent a rush on necessary medical equipment. Like, this is just the facts that you guys, the government plays a bigger picture game with us and will actively lie to you regardless of whether or not it's in your individual best interest because they have an idea of what's better for everybody. And I'm not going to sit here and claim that the government is always the nefarious string puller lying to the people for whatever reason, but I'm not going to...
Demons.
I was going to say...
Out, demon, out.
Literal... but they're definitely not above lying to people if they have a proper justification in their mind. That's all it comes down to, is that that no one that's in that area right now should be believing that shit, because it's not even close to the first time the government has lied about something being safe and then it not being fucking safe.
And I think that there's a lot that goes into it too about, I'm trying to think of a nice way of saying this. There are times where a government standard or a government, measurement, metric, whatever word you want to use, of what is safe is not actually safe. They say, well, it's only got this, it's only got 2 parts per million here. And then it turns out, oh, wait, 1 part per million will have a long-term detrimental health. Yeah, we'll have, that sort of thing. So there are times where they're not even technically lying. They're going by what their information is. It's just the
But their
fact that the
information was
information
picked
they're
by
using
somebody
is
that was
already
gonna fucking-
misleading. Yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't the only train derailment, the one in East Palestine. There was one in fucking Southeast Michigan, too.
Yeah, I heard about that one a couple days ago when it happened. And my understanding for that one is that it wasn't nearly as bad, where it was like, yeah, nothing's leaking. We already hauled the train cart that had the particular train cart that had the hazardous materials out of there. We should be all right. But it's also the balloon thing. It's one happened that was horrifying. Don't get me wrong. The consequences for this are going to be horrifying. So now any train derailment that happens, they're going to be looking for the hot word of hazardous material, and then they're going to run with it.
That's part of just the media scare machine, because they know if you're scared, you'll keep watching. But that being said, train derailments have been fairly common in the last couple years, and that's not a good thing.
Well,
You know, we at CMN are very big on trains. We love trains.
Love them.
That's like the only thing we like about China is like, God damn it, do they got trains?
Boy, you can make you a train, god damn it. Chugga, 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 chugga,
Yeah.
choo, choo.
So, but at the, you know, it's becoming more and more common that trains just completely fucking derail, and I can't come up with any. I don't know what the reason for it is. I don't know if
Crumbling
it's a lack
infrastructure.
of safety regulate. I was gonna say, is it crumbling infrastructure? Is
Yeah.
it lack of regulation? Is it just the fact that we're hiring fucking winos to drive the trains? I
No,
don't know.
We're hiring
but
people.
This is a problem.
We're doing things like telling them that they can't strike. Remember? Remember?
Oh yeah, you're right.
The people running anybody working for the railroads are fucked. They're in terror.
Yep.
They're not getting paid enough. They don't get sick days. They don't get treated like human beings, and they're told that they can't.
And then we wonder why the shit's just falling apart randomly.
Why shit fucking up like this? It's because you treat them like fucking garbage, buddy. Crumbling infrastructure, and then the people that are working it are fucked. No wonder. You don't need. I keep seeing people saying like, this is an attack. That's like when there was the couple incidents at like a couple very large meat packing plants, and they were like, our meat industry is under attack. They're trying to undermine it. And it's like, no. If you want to watch things like food and supply lines, the railroads, anything, you want to watch any of that fuck up, just wait 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like the way that our system operates is entirely unsustainable, and this shit is just going to keep happening until you address the problems. You don't need people attacking shit. Or on another note, if we are going to talk about the idea of attacking a country, not just America, a lot of countries are like this at this point. But if you want to attack them, it's like you don't have to do a whole lot. The American electrical grid is in such a piss poor situation that you barely have to do shit before the domino effect knocks out the power from the Carolinas to Texas.
Right. I guess the only argument against it is that it's not uncommon for people to be attacking, structures that provide services and necessities to people. There's a certain pipeline that got blown the fuck up, and America said up and down that it wasn't us, and they've pretty much proven that it was us. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying, folks.
On the international scale, you just got to get maybe 6 months away from the incident, and then you can just say you did it. And nobody cares. Everybody forgot about it.
I mean, hell, like fucking 2 years and you admit that you did it afterwards, it's not even going to get a fucking thing in the paper.
Yep. That's why the CIA waits like 10 years. And then the fact that they grabbed an 8-year-old Somalian child and made a live action Muppet with them.
Holy fuck, yeah.
They're like, yeah, and then you ask them why'd they do it? I don't know, I just thought it was kind of funny. They just say that, but it's been so long and all the files are redacted properly, no one has any consequences.
Then it just turns into the CIA sending, fucking people with fangs and black clothes into the Philippines.
Yeah, it's
just convince them not to fight commies.
God, man, like it's one of those things that if you're only half listening, it sounds like the coolest fucking shit ever. The CIA used vampires to fight the communists. Wait, what?
Dude, this issue of Batman's awesome.
Yeah. Call my agent. But instead, instead
it's horrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I promised you an attack in the seas as well, so we get the sea, land, and air thing going. So you want my little thing here?
I don't know if I can take another one.
China laser not enough to activate U.S. Defense Pact. The Philippines, hey, there's the Philippines. The Philippine president said that Chinese Coast Guard's use of military-grade laser against a Philippine patrol vessel in the disputed South China Sea was not enough for him to invoke a mutual defense treaty with the United States. So there you go. There's our tragedy happening in the sea. The South China Sea, our debacle is still going strong, and I only see this resulting in armed conflict eventually.
They used a laser on them?
Yeah, they shot a laser at him.
So, okay, hypothetically, because I don't know the situation. He said it wasn't bad enough for him to invoke the mutual defense agreement, right? Is that basically him calling them? Is that basically him going like, "Your shit's weak, fam"?
No, it's honestly. All right, here's the quote.
Despite
the fact that it was a military grade laser.
It was the Chinese battle cruiser, and it was just one asshole with a laser pointer over the side.
Oh, God.
You're not gonna get it. Get fucked, Philippines.
Despite the fact that it was a military-grade laser that was pointed at our Coast Guard, I do not think that it's sufficient for it to trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty. This is just the Philippine president being honest and saying, I'm not trying to cause an actual fucking war over them pointing a laser at me.
Okay, hold on.
But
one more, and this is just the vagary of language. Pointed as in they aimed it at them, or pointed as in like like you're pointing a laser at somebody, so they were actively getting hit with this thing.
Let's see.
If it was just like, they like, why were you? If it's just the image, like if it's literally just like they had it pointed at them, they're like, don't do it. I'm not gonna do it. It
blinded some people on the ship, is what it did. Not permanently, but it briefly blinded them.
So this was a laser. This was a laser pointer, dude. They were just being dicks. They were just being dicks. They were like, bink, bink. Oh, what a bunch of yahoos. Oh my God. You're fucking with nuclear war. Cut in Sun Ra's nuclear war right here.
Nuclear war. Nuclear war. Talking about
It's a motherfucker.
nuclear war.
Don't you know? If you push that button.
If they push that button.
God, that's
your ass got
to go.
Your ass
got to go.
Not even gonna cut the song in now. Just keep. This is a brisk episode.
No, I'm going to, and then it's gonna happen.
Whisk, baby.
Well, okay, so we had trouble in the skies, we had trouble on land, and we had trouble in the water. Now we have trouble from the sun.
Dude, I can't take it
An
anymore.
activist group
Please
is-
don't. No.
What
do you mean? I thought space was the place.
An activist group is spreading misinformation to stop solar projects in rural America.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad. Just kill them. Guys, I think all of the listeners who completely agree with us, right? We completely agree with you, listener. All of your opinions, we're behind you 100%.
We love you, and you're so smart.
Yeah, you're so smart and pretty, and you smell really good. And I think we're all in agreement here because we all agree on everything. So why don't we just kill everyone that disagrees with us and things will be fine, right?
Oh, man. Let's see what else we got. Adderall shortage forces some patients to scramble, ration, or go without.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was just thinking about that clip being inevitably played at my court hearing.
Adderall shortage forces some patients to scramble, ration, or go without.
Yeah, the medication shortage thing is actually because you see it happening with a lot of drugs, and it's, I don't know, it's mostly sad, especially with something like Adderall, where people that function very well when they have their meds, and then when they don't, they're just, it's awful.
At the same time, though, it's I can't help but blame college students.
Oh, the abuse of it.
Yeah, I'm entirely kidding, but you know.
Now on another level, I won't say I know this, but it's one of those things that I've read that, Adderall in general is something that is overprescribed quite a bit. And the same way that arguably antidepressants are overprescribed to large portions of the population because it's easier to have biopharma answers to problems than to actually address what the issue is. So
I mean, the biological or the chemical model for mental health was something that has been addressed by much more intelligent people than myself. So it's pretty common. I mean, let's just be honest. That's when people tell you that you need to go work on your mental health, half the time what they're really thinking is like, you need to go get on some fucking meds.
1 in 4 women are on antidepressants.
Yeah.
Does that make anybody uncomfortable?
If it's 1 in 4, I mean, I can't help but wonder if maybe it's not the fucking women's fault.
I tend to look at a lot of this with the J. Krishnamurti answer. I hate J. Krishnamurti, but he does make for a good quote. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted in a profoundly sick society. And I think we have a profoundly sick society. So no wonder no wonder so many people are on, and it's that thing. It's like, if you weren't on the antidepressants, you'll probably have some vice that you're using.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a world right now that more people suffer from diagnosed mental illness than any other time. More children have various issues of depression and anxiety than any other period. And I'm sure plenty of people just go like, oh, well, that's because it was massively underdiagnosed and ignored for many years. But I can't help but feel that it's more of a statement against the kind of world we live in.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And it's not a controversial statement to say that like the world we live in is really fucked and that perhaps mental illness is a perfectly understandable response to living in a world that seems bleak and hopeless.
And on the brink of UFO nuclear war at any moment.
And then the trains don't even run.
Yeah, you can't, and you don't even have trains in most places.
Yep.
You want to go back to the meat thing for a minute? Because I have something horrible for that too.
Oh my God, everything's fucked.
Sustained, you remember it's an attack on our meat packing plants and such.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Company that put children to work in meat packing plants in Kansas and Nebraska pay maximum fine.
$12. $12 whole dollars was their fine.
All I'm saying is that it's like, you're wondering why they're like burning down and shit, because they have children in them. Because there's kids working here and they're like, oh no, it's a fire. What do I do? And they freak the hell out because there's 8. An investigation found children working overnight shifts at 13 meatpacking plants in 8 different states. They're not even like, they're like, all right, you're done at school. Time to get on the fucking line, Timmy. Holy fuck. That's actually horrifying.
No one wants to work. No one wants to work.
Oh my God.
Bring us your child. Bring us your child. We will force them into labor.
How Florida's Republican supermajority handed Ron DeSantis unfettered power. I mean, what do you mean? How's that news? You're telling me that when you have a bunch of people that agree with you, that you get to do whatever you want because they agree with you? Shocking.
It's going to blow up in their fucking face when a Democratic governor sneaks in. Then he's just going to have carte blanche to do whatever the fuck he pleases. And they're going to be like, shit, shouldn't have given him all that power. Let's swing the pendulum back this way. And that's American politics.
Yep. Jimmy Carter, 98, opts for hospice care after string of hospital visits.
Carter's on the way out?
Yep, Carter's on the way out. He's 98, though.
Man, that sucks.
He might be the oldest president to survive that long, right? Like, I can't remember how old.
I'll just say this. I think personally that Jimmy Carter.
Just say it.
Rest in piss, old man. Fuck you. You were president. That means you're awful. Anyone who is ever president is a terrible human being. I don't care how many houses you built to assuage your guilt. You old fucking codger.
Oh, he teaches Sunday school, though. He's so nice. He shook the hand of everybody on that plane.
You shook the hand of the devil.
Yeah, I
Fuck
mean,
you.
fuck Jimmy Carter.
If you knew how to run a campaign, you could have saved us from Reagan.
Oh, God. Kamala Harris says Russia has committed crimes against humanity.
She committed crimes
Sure.
against humanity with them ugly ass pantsuits.
Oh.
Rest in piss, old bitch.
Oh, God.
These are terrible. Anyway,
I love how it's like, when Hillary Clinton was running for president, it was like, lock him up. And when Kamala Harris was running, she's like, I'll lock you up.
Committed war crimes. What have y'all been doing? Fuck. you little hungry hypocrites.
Oh, man, we're so mad right now.
I don't care is my thing. I think just about every inch of every political system is a sick joke for the most part. There's very little people who are actually interested in helping anyone besides helping themselves to whatever the hell is in your pockets. It's cynical and it's sad. The problem is that you can point to the marginal amount of good that some of these people do, and it's like in the face of the overwhelming damage you have done to the world and probably all of the horrible shit you had to do to get to that position in the first place, I don't care. Fuck off.
I'm in agreement there. I just fuck ya.
Fuck them. I don't need to pick a side and say like, oh, well, I think these people are good. You're all fucking awful. Genuinely, I think most of the people who have tried to do good in the world out of a love and compassion for their fellow man, generally those people get killed by the demons that I have so much animosity for.
And generally they're not in fucking office.
Yeah, they don't get elected in the first place. And then they normally make so much noise that they get fucking murdered. My sweet boy is agreeing with me. Do you hear him?
No, I don't, but I'm sure.
You don't hear my cat?
He's doing great.
He walked right up to me as I was talking and he meowed as if to say, Father, I have heard the words.
Oh, God. Arkansas senator asked trans woman if she has a penis.
Demons.
Yeah, literal demons.
Just being shitty people to be shitty people.
Just tell me, honestly. It's like, do you have a penis? It's like, why? What? Brother, we are on camera.
Yeah.
We are in a judiciary committee meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer to that, if you're not ready to put it in your mouth, don't ask.
Oh, God.
And if you are,
oh, man.
then don't do it during a fucking judiciary meeting.
What else do we have? Is there any good goddamn news?
All of Congress opens up the chest cavity of a beagle puppy.
Democrats say it was done very humanely.
Yep.
Republicans say that we need to think of the children and open them up too. Taliban bans contraception, calling use a Western conspiracy. Like, goddamn.
I know some Westerners that say the same thing. Y'all should go live with each other.
Oh, man. North Korea shoots a missile.
It misses.
U.S. South.
If I had any political power, that's what I would do. After I was done, after I got up in the morning and I pushed the dead hooker off of my bed and I smoked my cigar that was hand rolled by an orphan, whatever, all that stuff. I would take one of my blood money checks, go down to the post office, buy some stamps, and I would just send a postcard to every member of the North Korean military every time they had a missile launch, and it would just say missed.
God, is there really any fucking good news at all? Is there anything good happening anywhere?
I had a pretty good sandwich before this started. Is that news?
That's what kind of sandwich was it?
Ham.
That sounds good. I guess that's good news.
I got a sandwich for you too. But it's a
knuckle
knuckle sandwich. Damn it. I'm sorry. We started off really strong, like actually trying to do some in-depth analysis. So I figured we had to just go like blitzkrieg crazy and just talking shit about how fucked everything is.
Was that what you were doing? Because I just got sad and I just wasn't able to keep looking at the news without being like, this is just bad stuff.
The minute you say rest in piss, old man, talking about a former president, I mean, I feel like you're jumping the shark. And you can like cut up and
I don't know. I mean,
you can cut up and bleep these however you see fit. It's totally fine.
no, I'm not bleeping that. Fuck Jimmy Carter. I guess we need something to cheer us up after the news segment.
Oh boy.
What can we do? I mean, I have some old articles that were going to be in episodes like from last year that just never made it. We can look at those real quick. Maybe smile about some stuff. See if anything's funny.
What you got?
Let's see. From Tablet Mag, finding the magic in Shemini Atzert.
Of it, it wouldn't be an episode if you didn't completely bungle a pronunciation right out the rip.
Shemini Atzeret. For those of you that don't know what the hell this is talking about, like this sub headline will tell you. For the witches at the Jew-witch camp, observing the holiday means combining Jewish prayer with neo-pagan rituals.
Bro,
I don't know what to do with this. Oh man, like,
next.
I don't know what's going on here.
Next.
It's very, hang on, from a quote from somebody. It's very much about tapping into Canaanite/pagan roots, said Susie, a Jewish camp steward who goes by.
Wait. Canaanite, like Moloch?
Oh, yeah.
Where's this camp? Bohemian Grove?
I just think that that's like the worst name you could ever come up with. It's literally, it's Jew-ish. So it's Jewish. It's like, I mean, I get it. I'm sure I'm sure you guys think it's cute, but I'm not okay with that. That's just weird.
How about a sandwich? A knuckle sandwich.
Wow. Oh Lord. Well, that one's not going anywhere.
I mean, I'm probably already going to get called an anti-Semite because I immediately went to Moloch and Bohemian Grove. So this was a nice episode. And this is, you know what? It was fun doing this podcast with you, but when I am carted away at the end of this recording.
What Practical Magic taught me about life, love, and the importance of sisterhood.
Nothing.
Practical Magic came out in 1998 when I was 9 years old. It was a fixture of my childhood and high school years. It feels like every fall I would pop the movie into my VCR and get absorbed into a world of magic. Have you seen Practical Magic?
No, I heard that and I just immediately I thought, it's like, isn't that book that we were in? It's like, please don't tell me that that did not help anybody. No, that's not true. It taught me how to make a really, really bitchin' girdle.
I mean, Sandra Bullock and who's the other actress? And Nicole Kidman are sisters in like a spiritual family, and it's definitely not a movie that's like aimed at me. I suppose
it's definitely not a movie. We made this up. Bamboozled.
What else do we have? Why paganism and witchcraft are making a comeback. On a recent trip to Salem, Massachusetts, I heard the same question. Is magic really real? For me, the answer is yes. Oh God, I can't do this. We tried. This is supposed to be making us happy, and I'm just getting sadder hearing this.
I'm just looking up Practical Magic. Listener, I'm going to read the Wikipedia article for Practical Magic. Enjoy the next 40 minutes.
Oh, Lord. It just seems to be like this is... Sometimes my magic is as simple as reciting an old Neapolitan incantation over a glass of wine to strengthen the love between two
like
people.
The ice cream?
I mean, yes, but no.
Vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. Bring me a girl that looks like Farrah Fawcett. Bars.
Sometimes it requires more serious action, like piercing a clove of garlic with a sewing needle and bidding 3 times to break a spat of bad luck brought on by Malokio, the evil eye. Whether learned from a local healer or my grandmother as she blessed me by...
Isn't that the puppet?
God,
Is that like his evil brother?
No.
Every time he tells a lie, his nose gets smaller. He has like a caved in face.
Oh no. I absolutely hate you.
Look, man, I'm gonna keep it like $1.50 with you. This episode has gone off the rails. We're already at like an hour and a half. We said that this was gonna be a brisk episode.
That's bliss, baby!
And all of these articles that you're reading, it's like, what do you want me to say about them? It's like she's talking about like a very baseline, probably traditional folk magic-y sort of thing. That's fine. Glad she's got it, but
I just think it's fun because you can see the line of what we've talked about over the last year, because each one of those articles was probably for one of those fucking episodes, and then just got like this one. This is The Smell of Magic. A new crop of scents reference long-held beliefs about the connection between perfume and the supernatural. This was probably for like the last episode where we talked about commercialization and magic and shit.
What do you think magic smells like?
Kind of like Fruity Pebbles if you leave it out a little bit too long and the milk gets it all soggy.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, we've exhausted any attempt at having a coherent and good episode here. This was such a trial. We started out real strong. We went a little off the rails with the psychology talk. We got through the train derailment conversation and the UFO conversation pretty unscathed, and then it just devolved into just screaming.
Ironically, we have derailed like the train, man. And what came out? Toxicity. Yeah. This episode was a metaphor, dear listener.
We always have an unconscious theme, and this one was derailing in toxic clouds. Let's pull the emergency stop lever and go to a well-worn segment that has always yielded something good, and let's hope we don't fuck it up. You want to go back to Peter Carroll's Interview with a Wizard and see if we can find a question that we can talk about?
Already on it, my friend. Oh, God, no.
It is such a good night to kiss. It is such a good night to dance. It is such a good night to Scooby-Doo-Doo-Doo, 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 love.
Okay, I've got 3 fucking loaded ass questions.
Oh, no. Okay.
They're it's just one after. These are bad. Also, the phrasing of it. This is literally how the question is. All right. I'm not.
Okay. I'm listening.
Do you think Prince Andrew or whichever one diddled those kids?
No.
Hand of God.
No. He really just asked him that, like that.
Diddled those kids.
Whoa, man. This is the worst episode ever. I know we've said that a lot, but like this is legitimately the worst episode we've put together.
You know, normally I actually go away from most episodes going like, you know what? This will actually probably be pretty good. You know, sometimes I walked away saying, this is going to be bad. And then it's turned out really well. This is going to be bad. I was yelling rest in piss, old man, about Jimmy Carter. I almost, ugh. This is
I don't
bad.
feel
Okay.
bad about it. Also,
you know, my problem is I don't
Prince
actually
Andrew definitely diddled those kids.
Yeah, it's like I don't really feel bad about it. I just understand that when you put your nuts on the table and say something like that, people can get a little uppity. But fuck them. I'm not running for office.
Yeah, we are never going to get any sort of advertisers on here. We're never going to have to explain why we said rest in piss, old man, to Jimmy Carter. Unless this goes viral and we have to talk to Jimmy Carter about it. And if that happens, I will be like, Mr. Carter, I'm just letting you know, you're going to rest in piss, old man.
Well, here's my caveat here, too. He's like 90 something years old and he got to be president. He had a fantastic fucking run. Like, that's more than most
he's
of
almost
he's gotten more life than most of us are going to get, and he got to be president. And he's honestly he's probably one of the most beloved presidents as far as people are concerned, because they just look at him like cozy old man who's working for Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, teaching Sunday school and shit.
Exactly. Question 102. So you don't think there was anything fishy about those towers coming down?
Oh, wow. You really went with these ones, huh? That's really what you went with?
I don't even want to answer these. I just want to read a couple of these out. Like, I didn't realize this shit went off the rails. I'm not reading the answers. I'm not even reading the answers. I'm just reading the fucking.
Oh my God.
I don't know, man. Here I can buy guns and weed in the same day. In a few states over, they have prostitutes. Seems like we've got it all figured out.
That's not a question.
It's
That's
not.
not a question. You can't just read that. No one. We are going to lose so many fucking listeners on this episode because they're going to be like, all right, they're officially out of content.
We'll just call this the dud episode and be like, be warned, this one was bad.
No.
We don't have to put this out if you don't want. It's fine.
No, we're putting it out because we
had a strong start. It just went off.
It was the strongest start, but like this last like 20 minutes has just been moment after moment of people questioning whether they want to keep listening to us. Do you have one more terrible fucking thing that was said in that book?
Just tell me when to stop, brother. Oh man, okay. They start going into
How bad is it? How as bad is it this time?
I broke into a different interview and things sort of get professional again. Oh, here's one. It just says Mars colony? Question mark?
Oh, Lord hell.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Well, what did we learn today?
We learned Jimmy Carter is going to die because he was attacked by a laser beam from a Chinese UFO because he was lying to the American people about trains.
Wow.
And you know whose fault it is?
Who?
Carl Jung.
Carl Jung. Damn you, Carl Jung. Oh.
How did you do that? How did you do all of this? I wasn't even conscious of any of it. Exactly.
I guess we really need the palate cleanser question this time because I just feel dirty. How goes the work?
Okay, you'll be happy to know that I've actually gotten loads and loads done. And it really all comes down to one simple exercise or one simple little hack in my daily schedule.
Oh yeah? What was that?
I've just been basically demanding 10 minutes out of myself to do something to my practice. And it's something that I'm sure a lot of you have heard before, but it can really come down to anything. If you're trying to read more, if you're trying to practice a certain skill, whether it's an instrument or something like that, meditation, it's literally, if you force yourself to do it for 10 minutes and you're absolutely not feeling it after those 10 minutes, stop. But most of the time you'll find that just by getting to that point, you will want to do more. I'm sure there's some psychology behind that, or maybe psychology's a crock and it's all ghosts. But it's a trick that I've used before, and it just happened to be what I needed right now. So that's cool. That's the one little uptick.
Well, that is good. That does make me feel better, especially after all of this episode.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh boy, I have my house is haunted right now.
Oh yeah, I remembered you were talking to me about that shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
didn't.
tainted.
I kind of blew you off, going like, "Well, magic isn't real, so don't worry about it," or something to that effect.
Right, yeah.
I did something that was like, "Don't worry about it." You didn't say anything afterwards, so I assumed it went away. So it's still going.
Yeah, it's still very much here. I had an experience
Uh.
last night that was interesting.
Oh, now you're seeing it. Oh, you're fucked.
Yep, I'm totally fucked. I mean, I'm kicking it the fuck out or dealing with it on the terms that I need to deal with it. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but
Well, if you need
did
anything,
you folks know that the famous bornless ritual was originally a exorcism?
Oh, hey, fun fact. One of the very first instances of somebody asking me to do magic for them, and I very rarely do that. It was somebody asking because they thought they had a ghost in their house, and I literally did the bornless. I didn't do the bornless ritual as Crowley. I did it sort of in the original whatever, but because it was an exorcism, it was like, fuck, go for it. Throw them out. So is that your plan?
I've already done it a couple times and stuff, and it seems to be working for the most part.
Okay.
I think
well, if
I
that
think what it
doesn't
really
work,
is that I did some stuff to get rid of it, and then I was like, all right, it's probably gone, and just didn't really worry about it. And then I kind of kept noticing a couple things. I'm like, all right, something's still here. We better get it the fuck out, though. Nothing nearly as big as the thing that I'm not going to mention to the listeners, but I told you about.
right.
Just little things here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you do need anything, like, let me know. I'll send an astral knuckle sandwich. Rest in piss, ghost man.
That's my banishing ritual, actually. I'm just going to walk around and be like, rest in piss. You won't be missed. And just wait for the ghost to be gone.
That's going to be this episode, isn't it? It's going to
rest in piss, CMN.
Oh, boy. That's perfect.
Oh, boy. Well, on that note, this has unfortunately been Chaos Magic News. The only newscast that's gonna get sued by the Carter family for telling Jimmy Carter to go kill himself.
Whoa. We did not say that. But
no, we didn't. You're right.
As always, if you want to commit self-sabotage for an audience, you can find us at chaosmagicnews.com. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under Chaos Magic News.
Yes, and at chaosmagicnews.com, we have articles, links to the pod, interviews with some of the more fascinating figures in the occult world, and it's a lot more serious and less yelly than this episode was.
I hope this was no one's first episode. That's all I'll say.
I'm gonna put a big old warning at this, like, this is not our best work. I mean, if the name Rest in Piss, you won't be missed, isn't enough to turn them off, then I can do nothing for you, son.
Oh, boy. All right.
Oh, man. Well, with that, would you like the last word, Jock Strap Fillet? You're gonna say it. I already know you're gonna say it. No more words this episode. No one gets to say anything. This is it.
Rest in piss, listener.
All right, everyone. Thanks for suffering through that. We'll see you next time.
This has been a brisk episode. Rest in brisk.
You know what the worst part is, listeners? We didn't even get drunk this episode. We're just terrible.
Can we delete, like, the second half of this episode and act like it got lost?
Oh, my God.
What have we done? Are we done?
What have we done? Yeah, I think we're actually done.